Blessed Sunday and Pit Senior. Ikaduhan na akong gisulti. Apaw niya ikatuluan. Today's perspective, we are already in the ordinary time. And I think the readings, if you are following the regular reading guides, is using the reading for the second Sunday. But in the Philippines, we have a very special liturgical perspective or readings for this. And the readings actually draws us back to the Christmas season. In fact, we can call this feast today of the Señor Santo Niño an extension of Christmas. Now, what is so significant at the heart of this extension is a way of looking at the many different ways how the wonders, how the wonderful deeds of God are done in our lives. And this is one way of putting into context precisely because we opt all the time, if not we are used to, acknowledging God's magnificent deeds in many wonderful and in many huge occasions. And we tend to forget that even in little ways, God is touching our lives. And this is actually the significance of why the huge God who cannot be contained, according to the prophet Isaiah, he who cannot be contained in any way, came into a small stature, into a smallest image, into a smallest thing, like it can be put in a crib. And this is talking about the incarnation, the birth of the Lord. The God who is so immense came to be one like us. He came to a family. He belongs to a family, and he was born just like us, so tiny. And this is one very beautiful and significant dimension of today's feast of the Señor Santo Niño, to remind us that little things also matter. Nga naa magsugod sa gagmay nga mga butang ang mga dagko nga mga atong gipangandoy, gipangindahay sa kinabuhi. And this also is one perspective of making us or reminding us to always embrace the child in us. And most of all, in concrete ways, to give the utter respect and the respect of the dignity of children. And this is where the Señor Santo Niño would always be at the very heart of such a concern and a challenge. How we are giving ourselves and how we are giving priorities at the same time to develop and to protect and to care for the little children. Precisely because, as it has been already known to us, they are the future of the world, the future of the church, the future of our communities, the future of our country. And so this is a way of getting back into the essence of how or what it means to be a child as well. However, there are so many things that we have to put into proper perspective, because not all of us have experienced good childhood. I know many of us have struggled through and became successful. But if we try to look back, there may be so many things that may somehow be like thorny in a way. But this is one thing that we have to take into account, because despite these things that happen in our lives, there is always God's hand touching our very lives. And on the other hand, this is a time for reparation as well, for what we have done or for what have been done to the child in us, and to the children and to the little children in our times. It is a good thing to always realize as well, every time we say Pit Senior, or every time we dance the Sinolog, which actually we miss very, very much, 2 years na, no? That this devotional action is not only for the religiosity of all, for the religiosity of us as Cebuanos, But there has to be some social dimension in it, because if this is only just done for the sake of culture or for whatever it has something to do with, for show or something, kung walay igo sa kasing-kasing sa realidad, dili siya paigo, dili siya insakto, dili siya what we call, it's not in its fullness. That's the reason why every time we all do this year in and year out, and hopefully when the pandemic is gone, is over, no, we will be not just going out of the streets, no, and pouring our hearts, our joys, no, but let us always remember and not forget that there are so many things that we have to do. And we are talking about reconstructing whatever has been destroyed, from the moral to the social and to the spiritual dimensions of the very beings that actually is still part and parcel of our Christian lives. That is why the best thing that we can make this celebration of the Feast of the Señor Santo Niño is to do something despite its littleness, bisag unsa kagamay, because every little thing counts and every little thing has value in the face and in the eyes of God. If not, he could have sent his son as a grown-up already. He sent his son like us, like a little child. And one final thing about this dimension is, based on the gospel reading today, we have this final part of the gospel which is called the hidden life of the Lord. That's why many people would ask, Pads, what really happened in the hidden life of Jesus? Hidden life gani, ano gugtang makabalo, hidden man. No, but there were so many literatures written about it. How the child Jesus interacted with little children like his age, or how miraculous, like one writing I read, a miraculous event that when Jesus was thinking about snow, it snowed because he's God. And then he made a paper bird, and then he let it loose, and then it flew. But we cannot find that in the Bible, because all these things about the hidden life are also manifested in the very lives that we live. Kung unsay atong pangutana, what could have Jesus reacted, or how did he live as a child? Our own lives are the mirrors, are the reflections, except for sin, of course. He had suffered perhaps the same thing that we had. No? We were criticized, we were being joked on, or we make jokes. But then there is always a dimension into the very life of Jesus, because he is divine at the same time. But despite his divinity, he showed it to us how to live as we have lived our lives, as we have lived our lives as well. And so it is in this context that the Feast of the Señor Santo Niño, sometimes we are taken because of all the beautiful celebrations, but then we forget to settle down and to let it sink that from deep within us, there is somebody we have to embrace. Not only the Son of God who is in us, not only God who became one like us, but also the little child that is part and parcel of the old selves that we have. Try to embrace him and embrace the Santo Niño as well, and make this day really very significant, and thank him for this great privilege of becoming a son and a daughter of God, our Father. Amen.